So I just had an article published in Nature Reviews Microbiology, which I'm really happy about. If you don't know, Nature is one of, if not the best journals in the world. Nature Reviews Microbiology is the best journal to do microbiology reviews in the world, so I'm undoubtedly quite happy. We've just published something in there as a sort of a light-hearted article for the Olympics, to celebrate the Olympics. The article is called Microbial Olympics, and I wrote with my supervisor and another PhD student part of it called Pathogen Relay. The general idea about the Microbial Olympics is that, taking the Olympics as an idea, what are some of the sports and different competitions that microbes could undergo, and compare how different strategies work. As I said, it's a light-hearted article, it's not really serious science, but that means a layperson who doesn't know much about microbiology can come and read it and hopefully come away knowing a little bit more, and some of them are quite funny. Hopefully mine you would find funny too. So the general idea is that pathogens are things that make you ill, and they are under a constant evolutionary pressure to maintain a certain level of virulence, which is how ill they make you, depending on their lifestyle. And we were asking the question, which has been asked before, not by us: is virulence and transmission linked? So virulence, as I said, is how ill something makes you, and transmission is how these pathogens are spread. Transmission isn't just about how these things are spread, though. It's a number of different things, but for sake of ease, it's how something is spread from one host to another and what spreads it. So the basic idea was this: we'd have 4 pathogens, each infecting a host, and then the host would run in a relay race and have to pass on the baton, which in this case is the pathogen, to the next line, and then they would start again. So our 4 competitors, as they were, are the plague, which is Yersinia pestis, bird flu, H5N1, chlamydia, and the common cold. Now, each of these 4 have a different virulence strategy and transmission rate. For example, the plague has a high transmission but a high virulence as well, whereas the common cold has a high transmission and a low virulence. You can get the common cold and still go to work. Try going to work with the plague, you'll see the difference. So in the article we talk about very briefly how a race like this would progress. I won't ruin it for you who wins, but so you have to read the article and we get more likes and all that sort of stuff. But I do want to talk a few about some of the ideas. So transmission and virulence would be linked evolutionary if each one had a pressure to play on the other part. So if transmission decreases the likelihood of spreading the virulence, which doesn't make much sense, but if virulence decreases the rate of transmission, then you'd start having a problem. But transmission can affect the rate of virulence when you think about it. None of these are my ideas, by the way, I must make that clear. I'm just talking to you about them. For example, if you have a vector, which is the thing that carries pathogens, that isn't affected by the pathogen, then there's nothing to stop that pathogen from becoming really virulent if its transmission isn't dependent on its vector. So, for example, cholera, essentially its vector is water. It becomes waterborne, and then people drink it and get ill that way. So there's a possibility there for cholera to become as nasty as it likes, because it doesn't matter if it gets inside a host, if it really hurts the host or even kills it, because it will still be passed on later on by water. The same with malaria. Malaria infects mosquitoes, who aren't greatly affected with the malaria parasite, but when they infect a human host, that's when the reproduction cycle changes, and the reason certain malarias have different physical symptoms is because the reproduction cycles of the parasites are slightly different. You get either shapes every 3 days, every 4 days, depending on what strains of malaria you have. Unfortunately, the 3-day ones, I think there's 3 different parasites which are malaria, which have a 3-day cycle, and one of them is the really, really nasty type of malaria. There's, as far as I know, 4 different main types of malaria. If we were to tell everyone who had the common cold, for example, just to stay home the second they thought they were ill, the virulence of the common cold would possibly reduce, because every time we go outside the house with one of these diseases, we are in fact increasing its ability to transmit and increase its virulence. If we inhibit transmission, we might also reduce the virulence. A great link, as I said earlier, is in the thing below. I suggest you read it. So is the article. The article's free for 7 days. Nature Reviews is a paying publication, but the editors have decided to make it free for 7 days, which, hey, let's face it, is a better deal than the Olympics. It didn't cost £10 billion. It did cost you some of your tax money if you're English, though, because our research is funded by taxpayers, so read it. Thanks for watching. Any questions, comments, and all that sort of stuff, feel free to get hold of me and send me PMs and messages and comments and all that sort of stuff. Thanks for watching. Cheers.